Today we're going to be exploring the most cruel punishments given in ancient Rome, starting out with number 1. Damnatio ad bestias was a particularly brutal form of execution in ancient Rome. It served both as punishment for serious crimes and as public entertainment. Usually conducted in large arenas like the Colosseum, the criminals were thrown to wild animals like lions, bears, and leopards. This was done with the intention to discourage crime and satisfy the public's appetite for violence. Before being thrown to the animals, the condemned were often tortured to ensure a quick, violent death. The events drew large crowds, reinforcing social and legal order through fear. This method was reserved for severe crimes like treason and murder, and was also used against early Christians during periods of persecution. In addition to this, to showcase the power of the state, these executions were part of games and festivals, making it a key aspect in normal and political Roman life. Damnatio ad bestias is a perfect example of the harshness of ancient Rome justice and puts emphasis on maintaining order through very extreme measures. Now we move on to the next punishment method, which is scourging. Scourging in ancient Rome was a brutal and often excruciating form of physical punishment, and involved whipping the criminal with a flagrum, which is the type of whip that has multiple leather thongs embedded with sharp objects like metal balls, bones, or pieces of metal, which is purposely designed to cause maximum damage to the skin and underlying tissues. Before this happens though, the criminal was typically stripped of their clothing and tied to a post or frame, ensuring that they don't escape or fight back. This type of punishment was typically used against slaves and criminals and was usually the preliminary punishment, so that it would weaken them and make their execution as horrific as possible. Scourging is one of the most harshest forms of punishment back in ancient Rome, and as you now know, was designed to cause extreme pain and suffering. But now we move on to an even worse punishment, which is decimation. Decimation was a brutal Roman military punishment used to maintain strict discipline. If a unit committed serious offenses like mutiny or cowardice, the soldiers were divided into groups of 10. Each group drew lots, which could be a stake, and the soldier with the shortest lot was beaten to death by the other 9. This method created fear and a sense of collective responsibility. Though it maintained discipline, it also hurt morale, causing resentment and fear among the soldiers. Even though this was the original intention behind the cruel punishment, to instill a deep fear of disobedience. It was also intended to teach soldiers that the poor choices made by a few could lead to the entire unit being punished, reinforcing the importance of unity and collective responsibility. By witnessing the severe consequences of failure or disobedience, soldiers were more likely to adhere strictly to orders and maintain cohesion within the ranks. And for the last punishment for this video, the cruel punishment that was given to criminals was slavery. In ancient Rome, slavery was a severe and often brutal punishment for criminals, and it was used as an alternative to execution or imprisonment. And it involved stripping the convict of their personal freedom and rights. The type of criminals that were given this punishment were people who committed theft, fraud, and for those who didn't pay their debt. After the trial, if the verdict was guilty and the crime warranted slavery, the judge would sentence the individual to enslavement, which would result in the condemned person being seized immediately and sold at a slave market. This in turn would mean that the convict would lose all their rights and freedom and would often result in them being brutally beaten by the new owners, as they are now just property. On top of that, slavery was mostly a lifetime sentence, meaning that after you've been sentenced, your freedom will be lost forever and you will forever be in the mercy of your owners. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you learned something you didn't know before about ancient Rome. If you want to show some love, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.